Woo! Welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel, folks. Man, the week is off to a start. This is the monologue Q&A edition where you guys, only on Patreon, only you guys on Patreon can ask all week long questions. Got your questions? Send them into Jolene. She'll get them to me. I get the first half hour. You guys get the bottom half, and we're going to lay it all out there, folks. They see their evil as doing good. They think they're the good guys, folks. The people at the top, the elites, they've got all the money. Hey, they've got all the power. Hey, they must be the good guys, right? Just ask them. Just ask them. They'll tell you how good they are. No doubts, folks. I mean, where do we even start? I've got a ton of stuff. Get your questions in. Let's start talking. I just start at the bottom. I think this is worth reiterating right here. This was earlier today, and I covered it some. It's worth reiterating, recovering, because some people only watch the daily Q&A. Very quickly, Advent Health will no longer require its 83,000 employees to take the Jim Jones juice. No more. No more, folks. It's because they said, hey, look, federal and state laws blocked it. Period. That's it. Done. That's a big thing, folks, because we keep hearing. I mean, there was another hospital up in Massachusetts. It fired 200 workers today. 200 workers because they refused to get the Jim Jones juice. Well, those 200 are fired. I bet they could go somewhere else. 83,000 people now off the chopping blocks. See, what this is about, folks, is the government mandating and forcing corporations to work with it, right? Using federal power to force companies to obey something is fascism. It's absolute fascism. The government is restricted from doing such things. It's called the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. If they're doing something that causes the people to be damaged, just because they put a corporation between the government's mandates and us doesn't make it right. The government is causing our right to privacy, our right to medical decisions, our right to freedom. They're causing our privacy to be infringed upon. And Governor de Blasio, de Bozo in New York City, he can stuff it in his ass. I tell you, folks, they're really pushing it. They are pushing it so hard and so far. And they have to. It doesn't matter how incredulous I get. It doesn't matter how frustrated you are. It just doesn't matter. These people can do and say whatever the hell they want, and they're going to get away with it until they can't. Until they can't. That's it. Yeah, when's it going to change? Well, when people stand up and say, no more. No more. Unbelievable. Folks, their story is running out of steam. Steam is nothing more than water vapor that's hot. It's hot air, folks. And when they lose their steam, when they lose their power, they start losing control. Yeah, one hospital fired 200, but another hospital system-wide, 83,000. No more mandates. They're losing their steam, folks. I think that is just poignant. These people are full of shit. They're full of hot air, and all we get out of them are lies. Folks, here's another one. The Department of Justice, Merrick Garland, is suing the state of Texas over their redistricting maps. And he claims that it denies the rights of Latino and Black voters on account of their race. So the Attorney General of the United States, of the Department of Justice, says maps are now racist. Maps. Folks, everything is racist when things don't go the way of the Democrats' scum. Folks, shit has hit the fan. And they aren't quitting. They won't back off. Nope. And yeah, Merrick is scum, who is pronounced parents, who is decreed that parents, who has put into paperwork, folks, parents are domestic terrorists for caring about their children's education and their mental health. You bet you must be, right, a terrorist, according to that guy. It is incredible, folks. And they're not going to quit. They're not going to quit. And when I say Merrick Garland is scum, I mean it. Jim Jordan came out hot today. Came right out the gate in Congress. He said Merrick Garland, same Attorney General of the same Department of Justice, saying Merrick Garland is a liar over targeting parents as terrorists, and he needs to be called back into Congress. Now, even if they do that, it's a Democrat Congress. Nothing is going to happen, right? Will he be charged with a crime? Not a chance. But that doesn't mean the fight doesn't need to be had. It doesn't mean the words don't need to be said. The words need to be said. The fight needs to be had, folks. Now, I have been criticizing. I have repeatedly criticized the Joint Chiefs of Staff, especially General Milli Vanilli, for his woke bullshit. The woke attitude, that is the bullshit modern Marxist talking points, the social garbage and political correctness they spew. That has nothing to do with the military. Bullets don't give a shit how woke you are. The enemy doesn't care if you have feelings and understand. Right? General Milli Vanilli, he is, as Donald Trump said, a fucking idiot. Now, yeah, I've criticized him, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and the Secretary of Defense, Lloyd Austin, the loser, for showing they have no love of country, no sense of duty, and complete dismissal of their oaths to the people and the Constitution. Now, get this, folks. The rank and file, officers and enlisted men, need real leadership. And I want you to note this, folks. This is coming from a colonel, not a corporal. Understand that our military leaders lied to Congress and no doubt don't give a shit about the men whose lives they command in war. Our nation is in peril, absolute peril. And this is going to set you back, folks. A former DC National Guard officer says that the generals fabricated January 6th absolute and unmitigated lies. He called them absolute and unmitigated liars. In a 36-page memo sent to the January 6th Select Committee this month, Colonel Earl Matthews, who held high-level National Security Council and Pentagon positions under Trump, accused Army generals Charles Flynn and Lieutenant General Walter Piatt of being, quote, absolute and unmitigated liars for how they characterized the events of January 6th. In other words, he's accusing these two generals of lying to Congress about what happened on January 6th, characterizing the events. What were the events? People peacefully protesting, people being attacked by the police, agents provocateurs in the crowd pretending to be Trump supporters. This is crazy, folks. This is crazy. Shit has hit the fan. And the military is not happy with his leadership because they're seeing them for what they are. President Trump calling out General Milley. This colonel is calling out generals who testify. Congressmen are calling out bureaucratic officials. This isn't what I would call usual politics. Unicorn virus. I'm telling you, folks, it is the season of giving. It is Christmas, and we're in our 8th anniversary. 8 years ago in December, I started this channel and started talking about what if shit hits the fan. What kind of things could cause shit to hit the fan? Well, a lot of the things I said are part of this immense package of shit. It's not one thing, it's several things, folks. But here we are celebrating our 8th anniversary. Well, thank you. Thank you to everyone who subscribed, is still subscribing, is still listening, and is prepared for what comes next. Yeah, we're being lied to on a daily basis. Lied to by the bureaucracy, lied to by corporate America, lied to by politicians, lied to by global leaders, lied to by the bankers, lied to by everybody with power and authority. Who does that leave? Us little people, the people's people. This is a spiritual war, folks. And I'm not a preachy religious type, but I have noted that it takes a degree of faith. Semper Fi means always faithful. Belief in who you are, right? Morally, ethically, personally. 1776 had a spiritual religious component to it, right? The Declaration of Independence says our rights came to us from God, that they're inalienable. Right? Archbishop Vignano, in his latest defense of individual rights, came in response to the New World Order, folks. He is standing up and fighting. He's a spiritual leader on a world level. Now, I'm not Catholic, and I don't care, because he's not talking about Catholicism. He's talking about philosophy. He says, quote, "Let's respond to corruption with honesty, to lies with truth, to self-interest with generous dedication to public affairs." Right? That really is pointing at leadership in government and the business world and saying, hey, we see you, we hear you. We know about corruption, we know about your lies, and we know about your self-interest. Now, you, me, us, we're dedicated to public affairs. The freedom and liberty of the people, right, to be who they want to be. Life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. Folks, I'm not Catholic, but to me, this sounds like a spiritual philosophy that rings true. Yes, it has the ring of truth in it. And let us continue. I mean, there's so much to talk about. It is incredible. Get your questions in. Get this. Oh, yeah. I want to get back to Mayor de Blasio. Right? Today he announces mandatory Jim Jones juice for all private companies. All private companies. Not those with government contracts, not federal companies, all private companies have mandatory, not masks, not lockdowns, not social distancing, but mandatory Jim Jones juice, pow, and forced. See, we're going to use the word force because that's what this is. If it's a mandate, it is force. Forced mandates on all children ages 5 to 11 if they want to eat in a restaurant. The government has no right. De Blasio has no right. Folks, even Hitler did not do this to his people. Even Adolf Hitler did not do this to his people. See, these children, these adults, these people in New York City, they're not the bad people. Right? Now, other parts of the country where people are free and we give de Blasio the bird. In fact, I mean, there's a lot of let's go Brandons and let's go de Blasio's right there in New York City. And I commend them for standing up and fighting against this giant prick. But he's supposed to have his own people. They don't care. They want everyone to be stuck, folks. They want them stuck in their homes and stuck in their ass. It is absolutely disgusting what this guy is doing. And I believe that he has stepped way over his authority. And this is my problem with government, folks. You see, those who care about liberty and freedom, those who care about the people, they don't say, you know, I'm going to come up with a mandate. How can he mandate anything? Even laws that are passed by legislatures that are signed by a mayor or a governor or the president, even then they can still be challenged in court. But every step of the way, every politician should ask, does this violate someone's right? And if it even comes close to anything, if it's even questionable, they should vote no on that ground alone, instead of finding a way to justify and say, well, I think that this is more important than someone else's rights. That's the difference between a free republic and a democracy. And we have in New York City one of the dumbest of democracies. It's right down there with Chicagoland for democracy. And I think when someone like de Blasio or like Mayor Beetlejuice violates someone's rights, I think they should be liable personally. See, there's no penalty for being a tyrant. There's no penalty for destroying people's lives and businesses and retirements and families. There's no penalty. There should be a penalty. Just because you've been elected to office does not mean you get immunity for violating people's rights. This needs to stop. But we have a banana republic at this time. And it's not going to stop. No siree, Bob. Not going to stop until we get control of this country back. And then we say there is a penalty for violating the rights. Not some made up bullshit right, like Roe v. Wade. That's a court case, not a right. Not some made up right, like I have a right, you know, blah, 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 blah. No, it's right there. It's very easy to understand. If I'm not hurting someone else, damaging them personally or their property or their good name, I've committed no crime. And therefore, I cannot be touched or bothered or harassed. It's just got to end, folks, but it's not going to. The only way this ends is in massive social unrest, partisan conflict, and possibly civil war. Just understand that, folks. I mean, take this and understand this. More police officers have been shot and killed in 2021 than any other year. Is that because Republicans are in charge of these cities? No. Is that because there's more guns out there? No, it's because there's no penalty. The criminals discovered there's no penalty for assaulting police, for challenging police. There's no penalty because the police are afraid that they're going to get accused of being racists. Remember when they were said that they're out hunting black people? Tremendous lies were told, and that creates tremendous damage. And now we have the consequences, folks. 2020, all of the lies. 2020, we have the consequences. More police officers have been shot and killed than any other year. Unbelievable, folks. Now, this is one that really gets me. It's Christmas. It's supposed to be the time of giving, the time of, you know, we're ending one year, we're going to begin another. We celebrate the birth of the Savior. We put up Christmas trees, right? There's a blending of all kinds of religion and ideas, everything. And many cultures and religions all have this time of the year is sacred. Well, in our culture, our American culture, it is Christmas. If you're from another country and another culture, you can bring your stuff here. But this nation was a nation built with a Christmas for a winter festival. Enough said on that. Celebrate as you will. It's Christmas time. And all the evil doctors, all of the evil scientists, all of the evil politicians are gleefully rubbing their filthy paws together as more and more children are injured by their sick, demented, evil designs. Is it obvious yet? Is it apparent to you? You know, I suppose when one's job is working on experiments where dogs are allowed to have their flesh eaten by flies while the dogs are drugged, conscious, while larvae crawl in and out of them. This is not a nice discussion, by the way. It's not supposed to be. Right? I suppose one's job could be working to sew aborted human baby flesh to the bodies of rodents to grow more human tissue, and that's just A-okay, right? Thanks, Dr. Fuxy Fuck. The reason I'm talking about this topic right now, I wish I could talk about what a great Christmas season, but there's bad things happening, folks. We have another example reported. A 7-year-old child, folks, has suffered a stroke and brain hemorrhage 1 week after having some Kool-Aid. This is not uncommon. It's not uncommon. Only during this time in history is this uncommon. I'm sorry, where it's become commonplace to get these stories. Typically, this is very uncommon. Children don't have these problems. Men and women in their teens, 20s, 30s, and 40s don't have the heart attacks, strokes, blood clots, aneurysms, neurological damage that is occurring in the year 2021. I read this heartbreaking story about a 7-year-old little girl who got her Kool-Aid and spent a bunch of time in the hospital and is completely jacked up, injured, hurt. It's not necessary. It's completely unnecessary. Children don't die from the common cold. Children don't die from the flu. Why is this being done to children? I want to know. Because nothing that they say or offer makes a lick of sense to me. Not a bit of it. And that's why I call them evil doctors, evil scientists, and evil politicians. Because it's taking all of them. And by evil doctors, I mean some evil nurses that are giving this. Anyone who does. But those at the top, the doctors and administrators running hospitals, they're making a ton of money off this. Evil scientists in their nice pharmacological labs are making a ton of money. And politicians are reaping the benefits of increased power. Well, this is an example of what's going on. And it's not just children. Like I said, it's young adults. It is people in their 30s and 40s in their prime of life being cut down. Super athletes can't even withstand the damage done. Numerous professional sports players keeling over, right? When they're supposed to be doing what they do, running, skating, jumping, competing, swimming, whatever it is they're doing. Their heart is working, their muscles are working, and they just collapse. It's not normal, even though they call it coincidence. Not when shit has hit the fan, folks. There's no coincidence. Shit has hit the fan. Are you prepared? Do you have food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense? Do you have a plan? Have you been helping others? A lot of pretend they don't want to hear it. And they do want to hear it. I can't tell you how many times I have heard now, John, I didn't really believe it when I first heard it. Hey, John, thanks for doing what you do. I used to not give a shit. Hey, John, I'm late to the party. I'm glad I know now. I didn't think it was true until I saw it with my own eyes. email after email after post after post. People are waking up, folks, and you're helping them do it by spreading not misinformation, but by asking people to open their eyes and look for themselves, think for themselves, and act on their own best interest. Right? Oh, you bet. I mean, the political leftists, they'll give you their story, their song and dance. They'll give you their statistics. If I quoted government statistics, I get a strike. I can't even do that. But I can tell you, wake up. Hey, Jim Jones juice, not a good deal. Look into it. If you're on Patreon, folks, you get videos, articles, reports, stories on Patreon only, right? Where we'll link you to what's going on and give you the latest updates on any given field of research with regard to Jim Jones juice, shit hitting the fan. Anything I can't talk about on YouTube, it's going to be over there. We're in big, big, big trouble. Are you prepared? I wish it was just another Christmas. But we're going on 2 years of this crap. 2 years of Dr. Fauci being the world's greatest expert, who doesn't like having his lies or his contradictions called out. He's now attacking Senator Ron Johnson. He's now going after him. Oh, you bet. Because Senator Johnson said he overhyped AIDS. Go read what Fauci said about AIDS. Everyone's going to die. You can get it from human to human, just general everyday contact, AIDS. I remember as a kid in my teens being afraid of AIDS because I didn't know his name. Back then, Dr. Fauci. Read what he says. I can't tell you exactly what he says right now. I don't need to, but I guarantee when he says that he didn't overhype AIDS, just read what he said and you decide for yourself. See, I can't tell you what to believe, but I can tell you, you better believe something. And no matter what it is, have the courage of your convictions. You know, I'm a humorous guy. I like to laugh and have a good time. I like to use satire and cynicism, humor, philosophy. I love to illustrate points with that. But sometimes you just get tired of these lies coming from these people and the mainstream media just covering them up and then accusing you and me of peddling misinformation. Well, I'll tell you what, I got food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine. I got a means of self-defense. I will use them to protect myself and others from criminal activity. Are you prepared to act on your own behalf? We're going to find out, folks. We're going to find out. Now, it is your turn with the Q&A. Let's start the week off with some big stuff. I want to hear what you guys have to say.
Are you ready?
Wow, that was a great commercial break, huh? I tell you, folks, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? I'd love to get me a big old can of Jim Jones juice. But before we get there, let's see what Justin has to say. He says, as they chip away at our culture, I can't help but think we are giving them the time they need to destroy us. Why are we just waiting to die? Because we think a politician will save the day? Write your local politicians. Why? Why are we playing this game on their terms? What other proof do we need? Fight or die? I believe it was Justin. The reason is this is how it works every single time. This case that we're in now is no different. It's no different than any other nation. The nation of France in its revolt against King Louis, the nation of the United States, right? As colonies, they fought against King George. Every nation that has gotten its freedom. How about India in the 1900s, right? 100 years ago, India had to get its independence as a colony from England. And I'll tell you who led that, right? That was Mahatma Gandhi. And he came up with the idea of non-violent disobedience. Now, if you asked Mahatma what would have worked better, he would have said guns. But because they had no guns, they had to choose civil disobedience. Of course, that was then adopted by Martin Luther King Jr. for the should we say, race protests of the 60s. But in every case, folks, it is government that presses us. And we say, okay, we have a set of rules in place. Now, again, even with King Louis, what did the people do? They complained. They complained, they complained, they complained as things got worse and shittier and downright terrible. Ultimately, when people are hungry and starving, they fight back. Ultimately, when people are being imprisoned and assaulted and abused physically, they start to fight back. We're not there yet, Justin. We're not there yet, but it has started. The tyranny has started, and more people need to call it that. They need to point out that the president is lying, that the generals are lying, that the courts are lying, that the courts are tools used by the bureaucracy and by elected officials to abuse the people. Right? We're still getting some good rulings out of the courts. Don't worry, it's going to get worse. And people will start to fight back on an individual basis. It is how this begins, right? It's a process. Getting rid of illegitimate, unethical, immoral, unlawful, criminal government that's corrupt and horrifying. It doesn't happen in a day. It doesn't start in a day. It takes a long time. What we need is a groundswell of corruption, and we're getting it right now. It's begun. It needs to be so big that everybody sees it, and it cannot be denied. And it is at that point where people, armed with fact, truth, sound philosophy, we need those things, folks, as well as morality. You cannot be an immoral people and fight immorality. You have to be a moral people. I'm not saying you all need to put white collars on and become priests. You need to understand the difference between right and wrong, and we all do. And then you need to act on that side. That's a good start. You need to understand who is lying and why. That's what we do here every day, is discuss what the hell is going on. So we have a moral compass. So we have a historical compass. You have to understand history to know where we're at today in this process. It's a fantastic question, Justin. Yeah, people in every situation end up starving, having their rights trampled, their property stolen, their lives destroyed by government, children harmed. Well, we're getting that. We're getting all of it, folks. This is the tyranny that has existed across all times, all civilizations, all empires. It happens every single time. The empire grows in strength and power, and then it grows in disregard and distaste and then hatred of its own people as it consumes all the wealth for itself and tries funneling that up to the top for the elite, to the point where they starve their own people and abuse them, thinking that they and only they know. They and only the elites are the ones who should benefit from the empire and its strengths, and that the people are mere servants of these greatness, the on high assholes. We're doing it though, man. We're getting there. Now, one thing America has that all other countries don't have, not in the strength that we have. We as the people in the United States of America, and that's people with a capital P. You hear that, Washington, D.C.? We have guns. We have handguns. We have shotguns, right, Joe Biden? And we have our AR-14s and our AR-15s. The AR-14 is so Joe Biden can keep up. We have it all. We have our AKs. We have our FNs. We have them. We have been trained in the art of war. We have been trained in how to use military equipment, including helicopters and jets. We, the people, possess this knowledge as veterans, officers, and enlisted. We possess the ability to lead military attacks, to plan military attacks. We, the people, possess all these things, not as tyrants and not as criminals and not as insurrectionists, but we possess these skills because we protected our nation, and we continue to protect our nation, even though we no longer wear the uniform. We, the people, right, in order to protect our country, can step up like no other country and use the force of arms and use our lives to protect ourselves, our families, our children, and our future. And we can dissolve the government and put in its place, right, a more perfect government, better suited to protecting our liberties and our rights. That is the Declaration of Independence. Read it, Supreme Court justices, if you must. It has the full force and effect of law, and it is philosophically sound. And cerveza bug notwithstanding, right? Nothing, right? Nothing preempts freedom and liberty. We're getting there, man. People, the more they're assaulted, the more they're beaten on, the more they are hurt. And what are we being promised? More increases in food cost, more decreases in food availability. The uber elite are promising us vegetable protein, which is not animal protein that our bodies need. They're promising us bugs. Bugs are not meat, animal protein. They're promising us higher fuel and energy costs. Well, without energy, this civilization and all of this world's civilizations stop. And you go back to transportation on a bicycle or a horse. And they're going to do that, folks. They're going to do all they can to bring us down as lowly peasants and continue to abuse us the whole way. At some point, Americans will be done with it. Enough will be awake, enough will be pissed, enough will be armed, and they will have had enough of it. Let us move on if we shall, though. Great topic. We have Jay Clifton checking in. And he said, for over a year, people have been wearing masks and doing what they said, doing what the government said. And we are still in the same position we were in. Is there any reason to think they're not going to destroy us? That's right, Jay. Since March of 2020, closing in on 2 years, well over a year and a half. And yeah, we're still trying to do everything they say. No, I take that back. I take that back. We're not doing what they say. I don't wear a mask. I don't social distance. I certainly don't get the Jim Jones juice. Nor do I get Jim Jones juice boosters. I don't get any of it. I will not obey unconstitutional laws and orders and mandates. I have no reason to obey. I cannot be pressured or forced to obey. It goes against my better judgment and my rights. Now, many people are being forced. They're being forced and coerced. They're being threatened. You see, I don't know how far I'll be pushed, but people out there are allowing themselves to be pushed around, and it's sick. In California, children have to get Jim Jones juice, according to Governor Newsom, the man who won't even wear a mask when he's in public, when he's in a restaurant while everyone else is locked down at home. These hypocritical pieces of shit, they get to tell everyone what to do? Not in my book, but we're not there yet. They do want to destroy us. I think you're absolutely right, Jay. They do want to destroy us. There are, in our government, many people, many bureaucracies and organizations, many private corporations that want to destroy America. They're good with it because they think they will have power, they will have wealth, and they will have immunity, not from cerveza bug, but immunity from any of the rules that the little people get. I don't think so. I just don't think so. We got Cottage Farmer Cottage Farm says, I believe if we really wanted to put a stop to the tyranny occurring, we could. Any one of the men in the spotlight could stop this. We could take control of production and ports and live life. Well, that would take a great deal of organization. I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm saying we're not ready for that quite yet. It is coming. It is coming. Let me just look at ports, for example. What you're talking about is the ports down in Los Angeles specifically, and all the other seaports where ships are not being unloaded properly. How hard would it be to show up there, remove those in authority? And this is not government authority, folks. This is port authority. It's a bunch of union punks who are not unloading the ships, who are not moving the containers, who are not trucking the necessary goods. They're dragging their feet, they're screwing around, and they're playing games with all of our lives. Do they deserve to even have the kind title of punks? I don't think so. I don't think they deserve even that much respect after what they've done to us. And they think it's fucking cute. And they think we don't have a clue what's going on. A lot of us do. It wouldn't take much to take back the ports. There's maybe 100 people running it. Maybe 100 people running the Port of LA. I'm sure if you went down there, folks, a group of determined men and women, they could take control of the port, and those crane operators would start moving their asses, or they could walk, and we'll put someone else in those chairs and pull those sticks and levers and get the job done. I agree. We're not there yet, and it's all part of the game. As I said, let's see, who supports Democrats? Unions. What are the Democrats? They're a bunch of fascists. They're social fascists. Not the Republicans, folks. Well, the rhinos are. I'm not going to give them a pass. Anyone who thinks corporations and government get to make all the decisions for us while they benefit financially and power, that's just fine. No, it's not. That's fascism. Two Owl says, do you think it's a stretch that some good people might be doing anonymous stuff behind the scenes? Maybe hacking and exposing evidence. Yes. Our good buddy James over there at Project Veritas has been doing a phenomenal job working undercover, behind the scenes, talking to these arrogant fucks in elections, in special interest groups, about what it is they're doing in big tech, how they are manipulating data, how they were lying, cheating, and stealing from all of us. And then he releases it. And then he is raided by the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Unbelievable, folks. Unbelievable. Totally unbelievable. This is our government. They could come to your house, folks, kick your door down, steal your computers. They could plant information on those computers, and then they could charge you with whatever crime they want. They could claim that I'm laundering money for the mob. They could claim that you are running a human trafficking, kidnapping scheme. They could make up whatever they want, right? They've got laptops with that type of information on it. It's called Hunter Biden. They've got his laptop with his information on it. Rudy Giuliani had it. Nothing was done. And if Rudy and President Trump were on the same team with the Bidens, why would they bother going through that exercise and releasing that publicly when they could have all just let us believe, that, well, the Bidens aren't that bad. But no, we got to hear all about it, didn't we? Oh, yeah, we did. We've been hearing all about it. There is a real fight. People are working behind the scenes. They're working in front of the scenes. They're doing what they can to hack, access, get information, distribute it. Why do you think the powers that be want to silence everyone in social media? They want to silence everybody on the internet. There should be no broadcasts except that which comes from mainstream media, that which is sanctioned by the bureaucracy You bet. You bet. Fox News has their reporter thrown off the air because she likened Dr. Doom to Dr. Mengele. But everyone who wanted to say fuck Trump and that Trump was a Nazi akin to Hitler, that was fine. They could say that. But Dr. Fauci makes a phone call and someone's fired, someone's removed. How does that make a lick of sense? It doesn't, folks. It absolutely does not make a lick of sense. Except, and unless you accept, and unless you accept that we are in a big, giant SHTF dookie. We got Bonnie Blue checking in. She says, do you think the Florida Guard's motto, leave us alone, is a warning and an indicator of preparation for secession? The answer is yes. That's what I think. I am not a member of the Florida Guard. I'm not a member of the Florida militia. I'm not a member, well, I am not a stated or card-holding member of any militia. So I just want to put that out there. I am probably an honorary member of a lot of organizations, but not because of how great I am, but only because of the spirit in which I speak of these things. Florida's Guard, leave us alone, is similar to other mottos like don't tread on me or live free or die. Now, this idea that Governor DeSantis over there in Florida is creating a military that answers to him. Boy, that really scared the living shit out of the Democrats. That's the first thing they said when he said Florida needs a Florida, not a National Guard. A National Guard is run by the Pentagon because it's national. Florida Guard is a state militia in one way of speaking. It's a state emergency preparedness unit that DeSantis was talking about. The number I heard thrown out was 200. That's not much of an army. It's not much of an army at all. But the left is completely worried. Oh my God, you mean a governor could have troops at his disposal? How crazy is that? Well, it's certainly no crazier than some woke pile of shit general who wants to give $85 billion to our enemies in Afghanistan and then did, along with President Biden. We're not supposed to be worried about that sad sack of shit. Mr. Cough and sneeze and sniff your children's hair. That guy, we're supposed to believe, well, we can have the might of the United States military at his command and people are not worried about that. It's completely partisan. This is all partisan shit. I'm sure that if President Trump was president in the White House at this very moment, and if, let's pick a liberal, oh, here we go, California. Governor Newsom said, we need a California special militia that answers only to me. In case of emergencies, natural disasters, we'll have a force that exists. Folks, that's what a state police does. State police, you bet. They're called what? Troopers? State troopers? I think Florida has state troopers, a lot do. California has the California Highway Patrol. They are essentially a paramilitary force obeying commands from the governor. But the left can't tolerate this idea. They hate it. They hate the idea. But now let's move on to some more of the idea of the secession. I have been saying for years now, secession is coming. There either needs to be an outright partisan interstate conflict or groups of states are going to secede. We've had threats of areas of states wanting to secede and join other parts of states. We've now had a city of Oroville in California say it is its own sovereign entity now. I really want to see where they go with that. This is where we are, though, folks. People are pissed. at the city level, the county level, and the state level, and regionally. It's coming. Don't wish for it. Don't pray for it. It's going to come all on its own. But we need to be ready up here and observing what's going on and understand it's a series of events that lead to bigger events. And that's what we're getting. We've got Bonnie Blue again. Another question for John. Do you think all of the testing requirements is to put together a DNA database on everyone in the West? Yes. Yes, I do. I believe they want to find out everyone's DNA. I think that these people in charge are afraid of certain things. I think they're concerned with certain, shall we say, genetic lines. They know a lot more than they're telling us. I think there's certain people out here that they don't like, certain families, certain genetics that bother them. They want weak, stupid, easily controllable automatons, peasants. They do not like strong, independent, intelligent, free-thinking human beings. And so they have been watering down, if you will, the intelligent people by mixing them with the stupid people. And boy, have they got it. And by stupid, folks, I don't mean genetically stupid. I'm talking educationally. They've been watering us down and mixing us, all of us, my kids included, stupidified as best as they could, right? They tried dumbing me down. They're trying to dumb you down. They're trying to dumb us all down. But I do think that genetics has a big thing to do with it. There's a big deal there hidden inside. I think nobility from every continent has found its way here. And by noble, I don't mean aristocratic. I just mean good. Good. I think there is a huge battle between good and evil. Those who have the ability to lead, think. I think there's something very spiritual about this. I think our spirits are tied to our DNA. Just my personal beliefs, something I've been studying on the side for years, is that we are, our souls, tied to our DNA. And why would it be otherwise, folks? That when governments for centuries have invaded other countries, the first thing they do is destroy all records of property ownership and lineage. They destroy people's lineage. I was able to trace my lineage back to Bavaria, Schaffhausen, and yeah, war after war after war, they destroy family records. So I couldn't go past much past the 1600s. This is what they do, folks, so that you don't know who you are. See, if you know who you are, you have faith and courage in your family. You love your country and you believe in it. You're surrounded by other good people who share like values. You support one another and understand, well, his intelligence does this and her intelligence does that. And we all work together to form a great nation, great states. Right? And they want to destroy that. They want to know who has what, who's genetically predisposed to what. Right? They want to know these things. Right? The same reason, folks, the same reason they collect every little piece of information that everyone does in every email, every comment, every conversation, everything that passes through a phone line, a computer line. And they store it all, and they're filing it all, and they're segregating it all, and they're putting it into files. There's a huge file on all of us, a computer file, with all the information about us, who we are, what value and use we are to the government. Knowing that they know all about me, right? They either really want me for something they really want me for, or they really like to just see me dead. One or the other, or maybe both, I don't know. But yeah, I think that they are collecting DNA. They want to know. Right? And I know that there's something interesting about my DNA that makes it pretty rare and unique. Does that make me a bigger target or a smaller target? I don't know. Just who I am. We all have something unique about ourselves, though, folks. Don't kid yourself. We're all special. We're not superhumans. We're just regular people, though. And they want to take that away from us. They want to take away our individuality. I'll move on, though. Uman says, breaking news. 200,000 pounds of cooked ham and pepperoni products have been recalled by Purdue because of listeria. 17 products are affected. Well, would you look at that? Somehow a meat producing plant has goofed up and destroyed 200,000 pounds. Wow. Of meat, cooked ham, and pepperoni. I guess these things just happen. Listeria, folks, is, well, it's a bacteria. Not good. You don't want that sort of thing, or salmonella, or E. coli, or anything else. But hopefully, hopefully that doesn't affect everything in the greater scheme of things. But I'm going to tell you, every little thing that they do wrong and screw up is going to have a serious effect on us all. All right, we got Plumbus. He says, my job, HR. At my job, HR is finally sending out emails for proof of the Jim Jones juice. What action can I start taking in Texas? Well, I would contact Jolene. If you can, put up the link we have to our information regarding legal techniques and being a conscientious objector, a religious objector, a philosophical objector. We have court cases now, period. Now, your job, I don't know what company you work for, whether you're government or private, right? But we did see a private hospital fire 200 people today. Now, the argument is, well, they can hire and fire whoever they want. Well, we're also told that the companies are in big trouble. Whole Foods, for telling people they couldn't wear Black Lives Matter masks and pins and other clothing and articles. We're told that was illegal. But it's okay to fire people because this company wants to violate their medical privacy. And this is a big deal. Medical privacy is medical privacy. It's called HIPAA laws. And if there is no mandate, no lawful order that you have to give that information up, then for them to demand that, I see that as a violation of your personal rights. Maybe they can say, get the Jim Jones juice or you're fired, but they can't demand. You should be able to just tell them. None of your business. And yeah, sure I did. Whatever. F you. I get a little feisty and testy over this stuff. So I'm going to recommend that you take a look at what we've got on our website. You can religiously object to what they're doing. And if they deny it, they're denying you your rights to religious objection, right? They're violating your religious rights, your First Amendment rights. There's going to be a lot more lawsuits. Get in line. Get ready to participate. All of these companies, folks, know exactly what they're doing. There is no mistake here. It is intentional. They're trying to bring this country down. They're trying to destroy it. And they don't care. They don't give a shit about you. This is all about them and their agenda. We got Ron Stryker checking in. He says, there are some genetic lines of people that are immune to HIV and bubonic plague. If they are immune to those, what else are they immune to? The powers that be want to know as well. Have to ask why. Well, what they would like, here's my guess, Ron. People with a lot of Neanderthal DNA have some interesting immune system strengths. They just do. I've heard this. I think it was Pabo, a Swedish scientist, talked about this. I believe it was him. You can look him up if you want. The mRNA gene therapy can be used for positive things. It's just untrustworthy, right? It's a new science. what they're using it for right now is not what I call for a good reason. But they would like to find out, well, if you can have your immune system turned on, they're just little light switches, yes and no switches, on, off, on, off, on, off. If they find people who are immune to bubonic plague, to smallpox, who have natural immunities that no one else has, they would like to be able to use gene therapy to turn their immune systems on. They're trying to, and always have been, wanting longer life, the fountain of youth. They want to find out how to turn those on and off. What groups of people from Africa or Asia or Europe, what groups of people live longer, look more youthful, have better health, are more intelligent? What genetic switches need to be turned on and off in order to accomplish this? These are the types of things I think they're looking for. Whose skin doesn't sag, right? How much melanin is needed for optimal health? All of these things are questions, right, that need to be asked. But for all of us, not just for the elites. You know, there's a lot of people out there playing God right now, and that's the problem. Wow. And it's just Monday. Oh, it's hit the fan, folks. I want to say Merry Christmas to you all. And I want to say, get prepared. And it is the season of giving. So give the gift of being prepared. Go to thepreparedmind.club. I would love for Jolene during the show to put up specific URLs, specific internet addresses to get to our different items. Solar panels, right? Lights and accessories, or gas masks, or any number of the products, water filters, food dehydrators, right? We've got a lot of products out there. I would love for people, right, to get these exact website addresses and just put up from time to time, and you can click on them and open them and look at them and see if they help you, or maybe they fit something else someone's looking for. Everyone's looking for something, folks. It's the season of giving. So we've got a lot of really unique, good items at the Prepared Mind. We're still putting the site back together, and I know it's an odd time of year to have things kind of snafu'd, but it is snafu, and we're working with it, and I'm glad you all are too, and that a lot of you are taking advantage of the sales that are available, the discounts that are available through the preparedmind.club, and I kind of spring things on Jolene like this. So maybe, Jolene, you can do that. Just get some cut and paste website addresses so that through the shows over the next week or so, we can get people more prepared, because I really believe, they need to be. We all need to be prepared. Godspeed to you all. Semper Fi. And I'll see you very, very soon.